Greetings, yogis. Elizabeth Scala here. We're going to do some tabletop postures today and some bent knee movements, dynamic and static. So we'll get into that in a moment. I do want to point out, if you have any restrictions placed upon you from a care provider, such as your surgeon, your occupational therapist, your nurse practitioner, your physical therapist, your pain specialist, whomever, if you have any restrictions placed upon you, please honor those restrictions and follow those guidelines you've been given related to your activity and movement. And I do want to point out, I'm going to be using some props today, yoga blocks. And if you don't have yoga blocks, you can use jigsaw puzzle boxes, board game boxes, textbooks or reading books. I've been told a toilet paper roll is about this height, and if you kind of put two together, stack them, get creative. You don't need to purchase yoga blocks, but something like this we're going to be using today. And I also want to point out, I do have a blanket here folded up in this flattened way. I'm going to show you, we're going to go into child's pose today as well. And for some, child's pose is challenging for the knees, the heels, the back of the legs. So if you have a blanket, you can fold it up to this flattened style, which is called accordion style in yoga world. Make sure you have something like that if child's pose is something that challenges you. So as I said, follow those restrictions that might be placed upon you. We're going to do a short set of these tabletop postures, and let's begin. So right off the bat, I'd like you to move into what's called tabletop, which is on your knees over your hips, and then and this is my limited side. I can't straighten this arm right now, so I need to use a yoga block to help me get to the ground. So if you have the injury, whatever side your injury is on, you might need a yoga block under that hand. But otherwise, the elbow is underneath the shoulder, the wrists underneath the elbow. And again, do the best you can in your arm that is healing. The backs of the legs are flattened. The tops of the feet are on the yoga mat. And if you find it difficult to have your knees in tabletop for a lengthy period of time, you can use a blanket, which I do very often, and put those under your knees if the surface below you is hard or if it hurts your knees. So let's do some breathing and moving in this tabletop posture. So your head is in neutral, looking down at the ground. Your back is flat, and as I said, your hips are over your knees, your backs of your feet, the tops of your feet are flat to the floor, your wrists are under elbows, under shoulders. So inhale, looking up, tailbone lifts, belly goes towards the ground on an inhale, and then exhale, belly button towards spine, chin towards chest, back round. Inhale, cat pose. Lift the head, lift the tailbone, belly goes down. Exhale, cow pose. Belly button towards spine, chin towards chest, back round. Inhale, cat. Exhale, cow. Inhale. Exhale. Continuing at your own pace with your own breathing. In and out through the nose. Two more times at your own pace. And finish it off in your cow pose, coming back to tabletop position with that neutral spine. Now we're going to, so we just moved the spine flexed and extended, and now we're going to move the spine laterally side to side in a C curve. So you're taking your left gaze over your left shoulder, attempting to look towards your left tailbone, curving that spine, and then the other direction towards the right. Right eyeballs over right shoulder, looking towards the right hip. So, inhale, looking towards your left hip. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, looking towards that right hip. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, looking left. C curve in the spine. Exhale, neutral. Inhale to the right. Exhale, neutral. Inhale, left. Exhale, neutral. Inhale, right. Exhale, neutral. At your own pace. Go ahead and coming back to neutral. Let's shift back towards our heels. Give those wrists a break. If you'd like, you can sit back on your heels, sit towards your side. Just wherever's comfortable for you to kind of give those wrists some ease from the tension. So just circling the wrists one way and the other, back and forth, shake it out. So we're going to do one more posture, go into child's pose, and then the lunge and half split. So we'll be there in a moment, but go ahead and come back to tabletop and go ahead and move the hips forwards and back and all around in a big circle. So out towards the left, coming up towards the hands, to the right, back towards those heels. Moving and breathing at your own pace, making sure you continue to breathe in and out of your nose. Go ahead and switch to the opposite direction. Continuing to breathe, feeling the sensations in your body as you breathe and move at your own pace. All right, coming back to neutral. Let's go ahead and tuck those toes for a moment. And then just easing back as far as you can, stretching out the bottoms of your feet. Keep breathing, bringing that breath into where you feel this posture. Thanking those feet with your breath. They carry us throughout the day. All right. So I'm going to remove the blanket from underneath my knees, go into what's called child's pose. And I'm going to keep the blanket handy because I'm going to show you a variation depending on what's comfortable for you. So your knees in one variation of child's pose are mat width apart. So bringing the knees wider than the hips. They're out to the mat. And then the toes are kind of touching as close as they can behind you, the tops of the feet resting on the mat. In child's pose, you're going to lean forward with the chest, and you're going to come to where your forehead meets something. If it's going to be stacked fists, if it's going to be a block, if it's going to be the ground itself. You do not want the forehead just floating out in space, so you may need to place a block underneath your forehead. Like I said, you can stack your fists, or you can bring the forehead to the ground. It's wherever you're at today in the practice. And here's where I mentioned the blanket earlier. If this posture gives pressure to the knees or the heels, you can go ahead and put a blanket, it feels very nice, underneath your sit bones between your hips and your ankles, and keep the blanket there as you then lean forward. Your arms can be extended overhead, or they can be wrapped near the side of your body, okay? I'm going to put my arms overhead like this and just breathing here. The other option, and we'll get to it, the child's pose in just a moment, but I just want to show you the option. The other option is having the knees closer together, but sometimes the belly and the chest gets in the way of this, but some folks like this. Again, you can place a blanket here between your hips and your heels if that's pleasant for you. But some people like to have their legs closed and then the arms really comfortably wrap next to the body. Again, a block coming to the forehead, stacking your fists here, or having your head come to the ground completely. This variation you might play around with really stretches out the top and the middle of the back more so than the lower back. So get to the way child's pose is comfortable for you. Whether it's with the block, with the blanket, what have you, arms out. And just go ahead and breathe into the posture. Breathe in and out through the back. Breathe in and out through the hips. Just sending the breath to wherever you're feeling the sensations in your body. All right, slowly coming back up. And if your knees did like that blanket underneath and tabletop, go ahead and bring your blanket back to your knee area. I like it for this posture. And having your blocks handy, we're going to move into a forward lunge, low lunge, and a half split. And don't worry about the split. It's not as scary as it sounds. So let's go ahead back into tabletop, and you're going to bring your right foot forward towards the top of the mat, leaving the left knee on that blanket or the floor, and that left top of the foot flat to the ground. This is where I like to have my blocks handy. As I said, I don't want to just be hanging in space, and I can't reach with this arm, or this one practically. So your knee is over your heel, and we're just going to go a little bit forwards and backwards. So forwards on the inhale, reaching forwards with your chest. On the exhale, straightening that front foot as much as you can, bending towards the knee. Inhale, reaching forward with the chest, forward lunge. Hips are square to the front of the mat. Exhale, straightening that front foot as much as you can, lifting those front toes. Feeling that stretch. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. On this next one, we're going to hold the pose. So inhale, forward. Bringing that chest up, left hip forward, right hip backwards. Remembering that the knee is over the heel, gaze is lifted. And breathing in this posture. Go ahead and bring it back towards the half split, lifting those front toes. Front leg is bent, breathing into the back of the body, the back of the leg. Attempting as much as possible to get those noses towards those knees. And breathing. Great job, everyone. So let's go ahead and switch sides. Bring that right knee to the ground. Bring that left foot forward. Knee is stacked over heel when we're at the forward movement. So let's begin. Lifting that chest, stretching our hips forward. Square to the front of the mat. Exhale. Straighten that leg. Bring those toes up, toe towards the knee. Inhale, forward. Forward lunge, low lunge. Exhale to half split. Inhale, forward. Eyes lift. Chest lifts. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. And this time at the top of the pose, we're going to hold it for some breaths and breathing here. That gaze is up. Your hands could be on your hips or on your blocks. Sending that right hip forward and that left hip back. Hips are square. That front knee is over that front ankle. And the back leg is flat with the feet, top of the foot to the floor. And go ahead and send it back for some breaths in this posture. Bringing those front toes up. That front leg is straight. The nose is floating towards the knee. Breathing into the back of that leg, feeling the sensations in the body. Great job, yogis. So come on back to a cross-legged seat. Finishing up the practice today. Great job. Everyone did excellence with this. Let's go ahead and inhale the arms out and upwards, looking towards the sky. Exhale, palms come to touch in front of heart center. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, arms come to the chest. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Thank you so much for joining me today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.